Hey everyone, it's me, FNAF Merch Plus, your source of FNAF news, lore, merch, and more. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for deciding to watch this video. Make sure to like it if you enjoy and subscribe for more videos like this. Now, I had a conversation with the Freddy Fazbear himself and he told me to talk about this, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I present to you Scott Cawthon versus Steel Wool. Differences in storytelling. Today, I'm going to be talking about Scott Cawthon and Steel Wool Studios, the two main creators of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. These two are where FNAF games start. Ideas from Scott, Steel Wool giving suggestions, concept art, story writing, development, testing, marketing, and everything else is done through these two. While they mostly work together as a team, one person, compared to a studio with dozens, are bound to have differences in the way things are done. There's many different ways that I could compare the two, but today I would like to discuss the way that these developers present the story of Five Nights at Freddy's. If you've been following this series for a while, you might remember this photo, or this one, or even this one. If you don't, let me give you a bit of a history. ScottGames.com, while dormant today, used to be the place to get updates for upcoming FNAF games and some of the books too. The first post was this one, just showing the main logo of Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Starting from the second game though, Scott decided to use this site for more than just announcing new games, starting with this one, introducing us to the grand reopening. These things start simple, but get far more advanced the later you go in the series timeline. The pictures for FNAF 3 onward are really the ones I would like to focus on here. We start with this one. It's fairly simple, sure, but it tells a lot about the story. Who is still here? Who is this character? We've never seen him before. Moving down the list, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, Sister Location, and even up to Security Breach all have teasers that start to tell the story of these games. FNAF 4 had the "Was it me" images, referencing The Bite. Sister Location got cancelled due to leaks, which people originally thought meant that the game was cancelled entirely. Security Breach had the Glamrock Freddy poster, which changed to having Vanny hidden in the background, later followed by the Obey poster, showing more of, at the time, a mysterious bunny character. While I would love to do a full deep dive on the history of these teasers, for this video I think my point is made. Scott used these images not just to show off the next FNAF game, but to allude to some story details of them too. Compare this to Steel Wool. They have posted a few teaser images, but the style of them is significantly different from how Scott used to do them. Take this one for example, the Chica Chowda poster. This was posted between Security Breach and Ruin. And well, it ended up being pretty much nothing. It was indeed a poster that appears in Ruin, but there's no importance to it in-game. Similarly, they posted a bunch of posters before the release of Help Wanted 2, a majority of which were just straight up teasers for some of the minigames in that game with no lore or story significance. Steel Wool doesn't use these teasers to tease much of anything except the gameplay itself. However, this doesn't mean that they don't tease the lore at all. They do, just in a different way, the trailers. Scott Cawthon posted just 6 videos of Five Nights at Freddy's on his channel. One of these is just gameplay of FNAF 1, the others being trailers for FNAF 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sister Location. These videos though, don't have that much lore significance. The Sister Location and FNAF 3 ones are somewhat lore relevant, but just barely. Most of Scott's trailers are just there to show off the models he made, and possibly some gameplay too. Compare this era of FNAF trailers to the more modern era of Steel Wool trailers. If you were as deep into FNAF as I was in May of 2023, you might remember your reaction to seeing this.
Welcome back for another week of career fulfillment and minimal social interaction.
Do you? If you do, what was your reaction to that first teaser for Help Wanted 2? I'm sure you probably had a lot of questions. This is how Steelwool does their story building pre-release of a new FNAF game. Who are you? Why are we in the sister location elevator? Where are the exotic butters? These are all questions that many had just from the 60-second trailer. They like to do this with all of the newer Five Nights at Freddy's titles. Don't even get me started on the Security Breach trailers. Those things are packed to the max with little lore hints and details. Even if the final product did not turn out to be anything like those videos, they're still important in showing how Steelwool likes to do their storytelling in them. It's the same thing for when the Ruin trailer came out. A lot of that one is, in fact, just gameplay from Ruin. However, the way that they put it together, along with Gregory's call for help in the background, led to a lot of questions about the story and timeline of the DLC. Speaking of the timeline, that's another way that Scott and Steelwool differ with the way they handle storytelling. Let's begin this section with Scott. A lot of the early FNAF games lore was big on the timeline. The Bites of 83 and 87, the Missing Children's incident of 1985, Fazbear Frights being open in 2023. There were a significant amount of dates being thrown around in all those early games. When creating these games, he was super focused on creating this timeline of events and locations, while not spending nearly as much time developing many character names, feelings, motivations, or emotions. The most of any emotions or motivations as to why anything was happening at all is FNAF 6 with Henry's speech and hidden logs. Circus Baby in Sister Location also has that, but they're really the only two examples of any of that in any of Scott's games. Ultimate Custom Night also has some voice lines, but these are fairly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Scott focused greatly on dates and major events and way less on any character development. Steelwool, again, is very different when it comes to this kind of world building. Help Wanted, Security Breach, Ruin, and Help Wanted 2. When do any of these games take place? I mean, it's obviously after any of Scott's games, but date-wise, we don't have much. That's because Steelwool doesn't like to focus on the dates. The storytelling and lore building in these games is majority from the characters themselves. Think about basically any character from these games and compare them to anyone from the old era of games. What you'll find is that we know a lot more about the newer characters, their thoughts, emotions, and motivations than anyone in the older games. Take Cassie, for example. She is talking constantly throughout Ruin, and through this we learn a lot. We know what she likes, stuff about her dad, what happened the last time she was at the Pizzaplex. This also builds on other characters in the story, like her dad and Roxy. We know so many little details about all these characters that just wouldn't be known in any of Scott's entries in the series. We even get to know a lot about the animatronics too. Security Breach is filled with dialogue, especially that of Glamrock Freddy, which brings these characters to life in ways that we've never seen before in the series. Steelwool uses them to tell the story of not just the game, but the people and characters involved in it too. Not everything about these two developers is different though. We've gone over teasers, trailers, characters, and dates, but there's one major part of storytelling that we've yet to talk about: environmental storytelling. In my opinion, the strongest part of this entire series is its environments. You can't just put these characters in any old pizza place and expect them to be scary. But we're not here to talk about how scary the locations are made to be. We're here to talk about how these places are used to tell the story of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, I don't want to talk about this too much because this could really be an entire video on its own. However, I will pick a couple of specific examples from the series to demonstrate what I mean. FNAF 1 has a lot of instances of this. For example, the newspaper articles on the wall. These tell a story about the missing kids and how the public received the incident, as well as how the animatronics began to smell. Moving to Steel Wool, there's many examples I could pick for this, but I'm going to go with the Mimic costumes in Ruin. These are fantastic examples of how the environment is used to show lore in these games. They show what the Mimic may be trained on, perhaps hinting at older locations in the lore. Again, I don't want to get into environments too much because I may or may not have a video planned on that in the future. Regardless of what you might think about the story itself, Five Nights at Freddy's has some of the best storytelling and world building I have seen across any game that I've played. Scott, Steel Wool, and now Mega Cat Studios have done an amazing job with bringing this series to life, despite all the differences between how they have decided to portray it across the last decade. So, that's the end of this video. What do you all think about the way FNAF's story is presented? What changes would you make to it, if any? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you everyone for watching and all the support I got on my last video. I was super proud of that one and how it turned out, and I'm happy for the attention it got. This has been FM Plus, and I will see you all next Friday with another video.